Hey, how's it going? It's Joe. So today I wanted to talk about putting together the kind of rhythmic sync pad sound that you just heard. Um, to kind of speed things up here, I've got just kind of a shell of a custom unit ready to go. So we're going to cover a few techniques here. We're going to expand upon the hard sync that we talked about in the last video. So just real briefly, what I've going on here, this is a custom unit, and I've got three custom controls. I've got this gate, which is listening to my GE1N. I've got this volt per octave control, pitch control, listening to the A1 input. These are both coming from my keyboard. And then I've just got this clock source here, which is an internal clock unit, a BPM clock unit. So just have those set up because I know I'm going to want those. This video isn't really necessarily about building custom units so much as sound design. So we'll just use those. So we'll come into the custom unit here, and to get started, I think I'm just going to insert a linear VCA, and this will just be to kind of control the amplitude envelope. So we'll come in here, and I'm going to connect this up to a local, and we'll go grab this gate control. And we'll put an ADSR in here. And just for some starting settings, I know I want this to have kind of a longer attack and kind of a longer release. It's going to be a pad kind of sound. So we'll just start those there and come back and tweak. And remembering to set the gain up. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do, this is going to have a few different oscillators in it. So I'm going to start with a mixer channel. And first we're going to set up this hard sync sound. So last time we talked about hard sync using the sine oscillator unit. Today I want to show you how to set up hard sync on really any arbitrary waveform. And the way we're going to do that is to use the sample scanner unit. So just kind of a quick review of how this works. Well, let's first set up the controls, I guess. So I'm going to set the width up to 1. I'm going to set the height to 1. I'm going to set the crossfade to 0. And then I'm going to load a sample into it. So I kind of previewed some of these. You can preview these with that button. And I kind of decided I like this Adventure Kid waveform number 6 for this particular sound. So this is a free or a donation bank that you can grab off the internet. Just Google for Adventure Kid waveforms, and it's a bunch of single cycle waveforms you can use. I'm going to grab that one. Just to review the way this works, so this is the sample that we're going to be using. And the way the sample scanner works, the way we have it set up right now, you can kind of think of this x-axis as your input. So as we go from kind of the lowest input to the highest input, it's going to look up these values that are on the y-axis. So if we feed this thing a ramp, an upward ramp, it's basically just going to scan across here and reproduce this waveform. So let's go set that up. So I'm just going to feed an aliasing saw into here. And let's see here. The sample scanner, I believe, is one that has an internal pregain of 2. So I'm going to be able to, I believe, leave this level at 0.5. Let's just come in here and take a look at this by maybe going to the center control. And we can kind of see that it is sweeping across the entire waveform. And we can kind of roll over here and look at the output too to see down here on the lower half of the screen that it is reproducing that waveform. And you don't hear anything right now because I've got the gate set up. But let me hit a key on my keyboard. And we get a nifty, low, rumbly sound. Okay, so that's just reproducing that waveform. The other thing I want to do is set up some sync. So I've got this aliasing saw oscillator, and if we kind of take a look at it, it's just coming up and down here, and it's got a sync control as well, right? So if we use the sync on this oscillator by hard syncing it with another oscillator, we're going to be able to reset its phase, which in turn is going to reset the phase of the waveform in the sample scanner. So I'm going to come into this sync and we'll just grab a sine oscillator for this. Really, any of these will work. And this is the one that I'm going to tune. Remember, the the one that is actually doing the hard sync is the one that controls the pitch. So I'm going to set this to 32.7, which is going to be a a C. And I'm going to set my volt per octave up to be controlled by my keyboard, but I'm actually going to use this custom control that we have set up on the top of the unit. Right there, that volt per octave control, already wired up to my keyboard. And let's give a quick listen. Cool. So just like when we were using syncing the sine oscillator in the previous video, we can get some syncing effects and kind of hear some drastically cool things by messing with the frequency control. So let's try that here. And that sounds to be all good. Just what we'd expect. What I want to do is now modulate this. And last time I think we used an envelope to do this, but since this is going to be kind of a syncopated kind of sound, I'm actually going to use something different here. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab something out of the accents library. I'm going to grab the pingable scaled random. And I'm going to feed this with the clock that I have set up on the top channel, right here. And that's looking good. We've got the gain set up to 1, so let's just set a gain here. I'm going to try it with maybe, let's set the bias up just a little bit higher. And maybe try it with a gain of 300 and see what that sounds like. Cool. I think I may even give it a little bit more range. Let's maybe try, I don't know, around 600 and maybe give it a gain of 5. That should go in either direction. Cool, that sounds good. So I'm getting some nice harmonics in there. And I think that'll work for me. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the level down on this mixer channel a bit. Nice. All right, so that's kind of the moving part of the sound, or the interesting part, I guess. Let's go ahead and insert another mixer channel. And let's give the sound some body. And I think what I'm going to actually do here is use 2 different oscillators to provide kind of the body of the sound. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a mixer channel within this mixer channel. And for this one, let me grab a saw wave. And we'll tune this one the same, up to 32. And I'm also going to connect this to my keyboard pitch input by going to locals, and I'm going to grab it up here off the top. Like that. And let's just hear how that sounds. And I'm not hearing it at all. Why would that be? Maybe I am hearing it. Let's bring this down a little bit. So let's just solo this channel. Cool. I think this can come down some more at this point, and maybe let's even bring this one down a bit. All right. So I think what I'm going to do here on this internal mixer channel, I'm going to go ahead and drop a filter in here because that's very bright. And I'm probably going to want some key tracking on this, so let me go ahead and connect the volt per octave up once again to my keyboard. And then we're just going to set the frequency control on this. So the frequency and the volt per octave are kind of working together. Looks like there's already some offset on this, from the top up here at the top of the custom unit. I think I have this offset by, 3600 to just kind of map it where I want the range on my keyboard. So drilling back down. That's a pretty good starter sound. So to make this a little more interesting, let's go in here and insert yet another mixer channel. And for this one, I think I am going to grab another bespoke unit. The aliasing pulse. And we'll go ahead and tune this up. Once again, connect it to my keyboard control. And I think, let's take a listen to this. One thing I'd like to do with this is just detune it just a little bit from the other oscillator. So let me take this maybe down, I don't know, let's try 30 cents. Might be a bit much. Let's go into super fine mode here. Nice. Let's play with the width on this a little bit. Sounds pretty good to me. I think I'm going to bring this filter down just a little bit more. Maybe I'll use the volt per octave control to do this. Okay, I'm liking that. So let's see. Let's unsolo this, bring the other sound back in, and see what we've got so far. Yeah, I think that's a good start. Let's see. So the next thing I want to do, I think I want to add just a little bit more interest to our kind of sync step sound here. So one thing I can do here is I can adjust the panning. So let me grab another pingable scaled random, and we'll hook that up to the clock so that it does this in time. There's the clock. And we'll just adjust the gain on this. I think one's as far as we need to go. That should give us some really hard pans around. Let's listen to that. Good, good. All right, let's see. So, the next thing I think I want to do is try to wash the sound out a bit. So we're going to add some effects in here. I'm going to grab, let's start with the delay. We've got a clock, so let's use a clock delay. And for the clock, I'm just going to grab the same clock I've been using for everything else. Right here, my custom control. And let's see here, we've got a spread control, so I don't know, let's try that at maybe 0.5. Give it a little bit of feedback and turn the wet up. Let's hear that. Sounded pretty good. I'm going to add some reverb here too. And, normally I keep the wet control kind of low, but since I do want to kind of wash this sound out, I think I'm going to start it with 0.5. Let's just hear what we've got, and we'll make some adjustments here. Sounds pretty good. Let's see. Something that I might like to do here, and I like to do this in a lot of my patches. I'm going to insert one more mixer channel. And let's just give this thing kind of a sub-oscillator tone. And for this one, I'm just going to use something nice and pure, a sine oscillator. And we'll hook the volt per octave control up to the keyboard control. And let's just let's solo this so we can get it dialed in. We'll set this up to 32, the same as the rest. And so let's bring this down an octave. Yeah, getting very close here now. I think I'd like to hear a little bit more feedback on the delay. And I think I'd like to hear a little bit more movement in that kind of main body part of the sound back here on mixer channel 2. So let's hook something to its pan control as well. I think here maybe I'll just use a sine oscillator. We'll have this move very slowly. Maybe 0.3 hertz. And I don't think I want this to have a full swing, so maybe let's just try 0.7 or so. Let's see what that sounds like. I'm liking it. Final touch here. I think I'm just going to adjust this ADSR envelope just a little bit more. Maybe give myself a little bit more tact, a little bit more release. Cool. So I think that's pretty close to the sound I had there. I can't get it exactly, I guess, but so we covered a few techniques here, just to review. We've got we learned how to use the sample scanner unit here to play back, really any single cycle waveform that we want to hear. We also learned how to perform hard sync on that sample to get some really kind of edgy tones out of it. We kind of covered going through and using mixer channels to have multiple oscillators, multiple sound sources contributing to the sound. And then we put some modulation on the pans as well as like the hard sync amount, the hard sync frequency. And then just kind of tied it all together with an envelope and kind of washed it out with some delay and some reverb. So um, I think that's it for today. Maybe some areas for further exploration. I'll go ahead and I'll plan to upload this custom unit so you can play around with it. And some interesting things you could probably do here would be, you could swap out the sample that's in the sample scanner for any number of things. I mean, it might be interesting. So here we're modulating this kind of randomly. It might be kind of interesting to put, like a slew limiter here or something, right? So it's not so jumpy, so it kind of sways around. I don't know. There's all sorts of things you could do with this. So this is just kind of a starter on kind of a pad rhythmic sync sound. Yeah, I think that's it. Hope you enjoyed.